What it is, what it do, you tuned into the Jose Morales podcast. I'm your host, Jose Morales, and we're back on another episode. This time, I have a good friend of mine on. I have my man, Gabe Lemon on. Welcome to the show, my man.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have him on for many reasons, but he has a good story, how he made a move from Southern California to the great Northern California. Had to throw that in there for him. And he is owner of G6, and he is operating out of Playmakers in the Arden area. Those that are familiar with the Sacramento location, there's a great gym down in Arden. I wanted to ask you first, what are your demographics like? What kind of people are you serving? Like, are you towards more the younger people, older people?
Yeah.
Tell us about your clients.
So I would say the main clientele obviously is probably youth athletes, right?
Athletes?
So ranging from probably like, middle school all the way to college, right? But we try not to be in this one box, try to be as diverse as we can. So we do a lot of adults as well. So we're just keeping options open, you know what I'm saying?
Tell us about, is it classes or is it one-on-one sessions?
Yeah, so along the lines as like the business growing, we do a lot of like small group models now or team training. That one-on-ones, as you know, that can get kind of like tiresome on your time. So got into more on that small group model team training so that number one, clients can compete. You know, it's a different mindset when you one-on-one, and there's certain clients that you do have. But once you get into a group, you get like the best version of people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because now you're competing against that guy, you're running, you're doing this.
Yes, sir.
That makes sense. Are these athletes that you have, is it one sport specific, like, we're with basketball, football, or is it a variety of different sports?
I think like when I first moved out here, I was like the football guy just because I played football in college. Mm-hmm. But now working with multiple sports, man, from water polo, swimming, soccer, baseball. Like I said, we try to keep it diverse. I don't want to just be the football trainer.
Football guy. That makes sense. Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah, man.
And I have to throw this in there, man. This guy right here, we hooked up through his wife, which is a mutual friend of mine, mutual friend. We all connected. We went to high school together, and your wife is a hustler. I'm like,
yes,
I said, when I have this podcast with Gabe, we have to give a shout out to Jess.
Oh, absolutely.
And talk about Jess. And we just talked about a little bit right now that you said you guys kind of bump heads sometimes at home because you guys are both alphas. Yeah. I think a lot of people can gain a lot of knowledge from that. Yeah. Explain what that's like. It's just having somebody that's such a hustler at home that you're building a business with. I mean, you're building a business, she's building her business, and you're raising a family with. How is that like?
Man.
Give me a little feedback on that.
First and foremost, still learning. I'll tell you that. But honestly, it started like we did our premarital counseling. We're like, okay, this is how I communicate. This is how, I interpret things, and same for her. And you have to realize, like, as far as like when you guys are having your conversation, how your partner's gonna receive it. Like, she knows if she's telling me something off the bat, like, you gotta give me like a day or something to process it. Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna give you a response right then and there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like learning little stuff like that and understand that you guys are a team at the end of the day, regardless if like she's building her business or I'm building G6. At the end of the day, we're trying to build something, together, right? That's where the legacy starts. And we try to make sure we're setting a good example for the kids, right? Because, my daughter, my sons, they have to see that. They got to see like, okay, I'm loving your mother, mom's loving dad, right? They're going to see that before any of the income, right? So we want to make sure like we're setting a good foundation because at one point they're going to be taking it, or that's the goal. Yep. Right? That they take it and they elevate it to, things that we would never see. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
Give me the love story. Where'd you guys meet?
Ooh, okay.
You said it was a Long Beach story, so
man,
I'm interested.
It's a Long Beach thing.
Let me hear it.
You know what's crazy? And I'm taking it back. So I actually got hurt my senior year at San Diego State. So I was back home for some reason. I was back home.
Because I heard you were a raw football player.
Man.
What did you play?
I played safety. I played safety, so we beat up on the receivers, you know what I'm saying? But if some freak accident happened, like nerve injury, so it brought me, like I said, I was back home for some reason, and then my boys are like, let's go to downtown, we're in 2nd Street in Long Beach, a spot called Legends, shout out Legends for that. And I remember and I was chilling. I didn't really want to be out. Like, I was already on painkillers and stuff. I wasn't drinking or nothing. But I sat down and I remember seeing Jess walk through and I'm just like, hey, you know, I'm gonna shoot my shot. Like I saw her make eye contact and I'm like, bet. Like the worst she can say is no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like went to go approach her. Conversation went well. We got to talking about Lakers and Kings and stuff like that. Shout out Lakers.
Shout out Kings, baby.
I was like, shout out the Lakers.
Hey, the first thing he says when he walks in here, you're gonna put a Laker flag in here. The answer is
Look
no.
great up here.
No.
Look great. Anyway.
So you guys really talked about the Kings and Lakers?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh man, I knew I loved you, Jess. That's what I'm talking about, Jess. I knew I loved you.
So it's crazy because I was like, that should have ended it right there, but
Yeah.
we kept going.
Uh-huh.
And like honestly, man, like it was good conversation. You know how it goes. It was good conversation. And then she like disappeared for a year. And I was in Hermosa Beach. We met again, like literally.
Like random?
Random.
Oh shit.
Like, and I saw her and I'm like, is that Jess? And then like we picked up right where we left off. And then she disappeared for another year. And by this time I'm like, bro, I'm done. Like I'm done. Like I'm not chasing
you guys never kept like contact, like phone number or nothing?
We texted and stuff,
okay.
but I was like, every time I tried to hang out with her, she said she was doing something. And I was just like, all right, man, like whatever. But like looking back on it, I'm glad we didn't hang out during those times. Because if we did, it probably would have been a fling and that's it. But then one time randomly, I'm just sitting, just hanging, and I see like, so I saved her Jessica downtown Long Beach. On my phone. Terrible.
Hey,
but I saved it.
I remember that.
But I was like, I had to remember where she came from anyway. But like, and she's like, she hit me and she was telling me about how her roommate saw my like Instagram or something. And then like she claimed me. I'm like, you claiming me now? Like it's been like a year or some change, you know? Like every time I try to hang with you, you don't give me no love.
Yeah.
But then man, it was like the first time we hung out. That was history, man. Like this, it was solid. Next thing you know it.
She moved you up here.
There you go. Moved me to Sacramento and got children. So
yeah.
But it was cool, man.
You
like,
had your first one here, or was she born in SoCal?
This, like when we found out Jess was pregnant, we moved up here.
Oh, okay.
And bro, I didn't know nothing about Sacramento. I was like, Sacramento was only something you saw on the freeway. Like that, you know what I'm saying? I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but at the same time, I wasn't stressed when I found, and that's why I knew Jess was different. I wasn't stressed when I found out she was pregnant. I don't know if that was God telling me something, or whatever. I was like, all right, bet. Like, and at the time, I'm not trying to raise a baby in LA.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, let's come to SAC. Let's see what it's about. And that was a culture shock. It felt like a culture shock. I was like,
it's different.
Oh yeah, it's different.
Way different. It's way better.
I don't know. Don't know about all that. But energy's just different. But I'm a homebody and I have a family now, so it's not like 21-year-old
It's not like you going out.
So I'm chilling. The only thing I remember when Jess first took me to the river or whatever, I was like, hell no, this ain't it. Like river and
Wait, you were in the river swimming?
No, but I was like,
we don't swim in the river.
no, but I was like, the beach, you get cool air and stuff. I was like, heck no. Like we on the river, I'm like, it's still hot.
It's hot the whole time.
I was like, I'm not swimming in this water.
No,
Like,
smart decision. Smart decision. You don't want to swim in that water.
No, but it was, I mean, it's cool. Raising the family, we just chilling inside, you know what I'm saying?
So tell me about you, man. So tell me your whole life. Where you were raised, where were you born?
Man,
let's get everyone familiar with you.
Okay, we going there. So I grew up in Compton, California. As I was getting older, we started moving to like the Orange County area. Mom was trying to have a better life. I'm the oldest of 7. So so I got 6 younger sisters. Only boy.
All girls?
Yeah, man. That's why I play sports.
Oh,
you try to hit up on them, you in trouble.
Damn.
So I was like, yeah. So it required me to, grow a little bit faster, especially being the only boy, taking care of all your sisters. And just kind of like, my mom's she had me young. She had me at 15. So it was one of those things. I was the kid that was passed in college, in the classes and stuff, and my grandmother raised me. And
your parents were together the whole time?
I have a different biological dad. I know that's a whole conversation for a whole different day. Yeah, so I have a different biological dad, but who I call dad. I mean, he's been there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's the reason, honestly, G6 was started. My whole motto is define yourself, and that came from him. All these late nights and I remember it'd be day before the games. He'd be having me doing all the jailhouse workouts. We lived in a cul-de-sac, push-ups in front of every house and stuff like that. He had me boxing. We doing bear crawls on the turf, like this everything you could possibly think of, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I respect it to this day. I mean, he taught me that work ethic. But yeah, man, like, so, I was a multi-sport athlete in high school. I'm talking about like track, basketball, football, like everything. You know how it was.
Yeah,
like,
you played all the sports.
Yeah, so, but then it got to a point, like, because basketball was actually my main sport.
How did you decide that you were going to play football instead of, like, how did you make the decision?
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you remember when SC played Texas?
Mm-mm.
I don't know, that was 2005. I think that's like Reggie Bush and Vince Young.
Yeah,
It was those times. And I remember our basketball coach scheduled practice. I'm like, I ain't going. Like, I was like probably 16, 15-year-old kid, but I'm like, I'm not going. I'm about to watch this game. And then, like, he scheduled it just to see who's going to show up.
Mm. Oh, so he scheduled it on purpose?
Yeah, and I was just like, nah. And that just kind of put like a rift, because I was supposed to go to varsity next year, and those coaches are moving to varsity, and I'm just like, nah. And I specifically remember my varsity coach, Coach McCluskey, shout out to you. Like, he sat me down and told me, like, you know, you really think you're gonna play college football and stuff? And I'm just like, yeah. Like, he's like, but I think you have a better shot in basketball, this and that. I'm like, all right, bet. And then that's when I was like, okay, I'm putting everything into football, everything. Because I was like, the way I was in basketball, I just translated to playing corner in football. I'm like, in basketball, I took pride in defense. I'm like, you ain't getting past me. I know how to read lanes, all that stuff. I'm quick, all that. So I'm like, okay, all this is corner. In football, I just have to stay in front of you, this and that, lock, and I'll have the sideline to my advantage. I'm like, bet. So I remember after I got my first article in the paper, put it right on his desk. I'm like, I'm going to college. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And why'd you pick San Diego State?
Oh, man. I was probably young, dumb.
You wanted to party?
But at the same time, like, it's San Diego. I was like, San Diego, I felt like, man, we were on that, what's that movie with Jesus Shuttles where he got game?
Oh, yeah.
So it was like that recruit trip, it was like that. So I was just like, man, I'm 17 years old, because I wanted to go far at first. I wanted to, you know, just kind of make my own life. I didn't want to stay in Cali.
Change it up.
Yeah, so, but that first trip was wild. And then he just promised all the good stuff. You know how recruiting goes. They're saying all the good stuff. And the crazy thing is, when I committed, coaching staff got fired. Yeah, so it was wild. So, like,
when you committed, they got fired?
They got fired. So I had, and that's common. So I had another coaching staff, they respected it, but you don't have that same like love, that same energy. And I'm just like, man, but it's already signed that LOI. You know, that's what we tell I'm like, once you sign the LOI, you sign the life away a little bit.
How were your grades in high school?
Oh, the first few years, it was just football and girls. That's all it was. But I actually transferred to a private school, Orange Lutheran. And then
what grade?
So this was second semester of my junior year.
Okay.
Which was like a big thing, because I had made all county. I was like all state and everything my junior year. So when I transferred, it was huge. This is before, like, you know, what kids do now. This is before, like, I think I was in the newspaper and all that, and they're like, private schools are still on our public school player. But I was like, I didn't know what Orange Lutheran was. I had no idea. But I felt convicted when I stayed on campus, because I was like, I want to play against the best. You know, Orange Lutheran is in the Trinity League. I don't know if you ever heard of that Trinity League. We like to say that's like the SEC of high school football.
Okay.
So the modern day Service St. John Bosco's. And I'm like, I'm going to play guys who I'm going to see on Saturdays. So I was like, I'm going to step up to this competition. If I ball out here in Trinity League, it should be cake. You know, I'm set. I know I'm ready to go playing college.
Yeah.
So, transferred second semester of my junior year. And like 3.0s were looked at like 2.0s at public school. So I'm like, I can be better. Plus I had this support as far as like coaches and teachers who were going to push you. You know, I'm like, and I wanted to elevate myself not only as a football player, but a student as well. You know, I didn't want to be the dumb black kid in the class. There was only about 10 of us at the school, you know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure I was representing my family, myself, right, you know, because I think I had one younger sister at the time that was there. I want to make sure she's good. I don't want to make it look like your brother's just some dumb job, you know what I'm saying? So I couldn't do that. So it was priority. I was like, I learned early, like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. You know what I'm saying?
That's hella good.
So I made sure, I was like,
so junior and senior, you had good grades?
Oh, yeah. I think I graduated with like a 3.5.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So.
And that helped with you with your scholarship or anything like that? Oh,
absolutely. And I think at that time, especially, a school like San Diego State, and I had more offers and stuff, but they didn't look at academics like too much. I think they cared about SAT and ACT at the time, but still, I wanted to make sure, like, even when I'm taking those college classes, because I heard, like, you get more freedom. They'll tell you something's due in a month, If you don't do it, you know, that's just like you out of luck. You ain't gonna do something that's a month out.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna finish that the night before. So I just carry that same work ethic with me.
What kind of tip would you give somebody, a teenager that's struggling right now with their bad grades and you know how you said the way you do one thing is the way you do everything.
Yeah.
How do you get them to believe in that mindset with a 14, 15-year-old right now? What would you tell them?
It's a matter of want to, number one, but I was just like, keep practicing those habits. Because it's not even necessarily about the grade. It's not like, because at the end of the day, all it is effort.
It is effort.
That's it. That's all it is. It's not about the A, B, or C. It's like, how much effort did you put into it? I don't care if it was a C or a B or whatever. Like, at least you did the best of your ability to get to that. I'm not gonna put the pressure of like, hey, you gotta be right in life 95% of the time to, you know, be an A student, whatever. But I'm saying like, that energy that you put in whatever sport, like you could do that in academics. It's just like if you want to or not.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Where did the want and effort come for you? Like how was that born in you? Was it because you were focused in college, or was it you focused in sports? How did you? Or was it because you wanted to do, like you said, for your sister and your family to represent? Is that where it came from? Where did the effort grow from you? Like, where did it come from?
I know, like, my great-grandmother, she's huge in my life. She's still around. She just turned 100.
What?
Yeah.
Hey, happy birthday, yo. That's tight, 100?
So she's...
That's badass.
Like, I just saw how, like, my great-grandmother, like, all the women in my family, my mom, like, shoot, I remember my mom freaking, I think it was my fifth sister. She got her master's. Like literally, like she walked, and then about an hour, 2 hours later, had my sister.
What?
Yeah, like that's how, like, but that's what
dedication.
I've grown up seeing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've grown up seeing, like, especially in a big family, like I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to hustle to make sure you guys are fed and this and that. Like I've seen it. It's just a matter of tapping into it.
I love that you said that, because as parents, for people that are listening to this that are parents, and this is the second time you said this in this conversation so far.
Yeah.
First, you said that you and Jess set an example for your kids because they're going to eventually follow that example. Because you followed the same example your grandma made for everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's important, I think, for parents that are watching this to make sure that if you expect something out of your kid in the future, what kind of example are you setting for them?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's a comment, and it's very easy to make. Expect these expectations of your kids when you yourself are not living those.
No, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because we see it so much in training. But I'm just like, man, this is like a life principle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to get to the point, and when it's all said and done, I have something to leave for my kids.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have kids so they can take care of me. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to be like, okay, you're 18, here's something that you know what I mean? Like, it's not just the money that I'm giving. I've taught you the principles, how to, now when I give you that seed, you know how to make multiple trees.
What is something that you think your parents did very well with you that you think you could pass on to somebody? You said your father did. He gave you all this. He was getting you shadow box in the mirror and stuff like that. But what is something both parents, mom and dad, did for you?
I feel like they were resilient.
Explain.
Right? They were resilient as far as no matter what might have been going on, and I didn't realize till I was older. Like, they're gonna make sure we're fine.
Yeah.
You know, they're gonna make sure we're good. We have food on the table. We had a roof over our head. You know, even if it wasn't our roof, we're somewhere. You know what I mean? Good. Yeah, like we were good. Like, it wasn't a matter of, okay, what clothes am I gonna wear? Like, they made sure, you know, we good. Like, times weren't easy. And we all have those times. Like, everyone has their own struggles. But they kept showing up. And I think that's the big thing that I take, and I want to pass them. Like, keep showing up. Keep showing up. Even when you don't want to, keep showing up. Because you don't know, like, what you're building for the next version of you. Like, you're building something that, like, might not prepare you for now, but might prepare you for the next season.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
So you get your grades up, you got your 3.5, and you get to San Diego State. Tell us about when you first get to San Diego. What's school like? What's the atmosphere like?
Oh, it was.
What is it like to be?
Because this is the first time, I'm talking about, it's the first time I was on my own. My mom's very, like, overprotective, so it's like, The minute you drop me off in dorms, and I'm like, oh, there's girls that live on the same floor as us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's that like, I have freedom. I can go walk down the street to, you know, McDonald's or whatever, and I can eat food when I want to. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
But it's, what's the movie that like, what, like great power comes with great responsibility.
Yeah.
You know? But that's what it was. It's like, oh, yes, you have all this freedom, but you're representing San Diego State football. So you got to be mindful of that. Because, I mean, if you do something or act out at a party, guess what? You're going to be on that police report the next day. Everybody's going to see that. I think it's public access to that.
Yeah.
You know, but like this, the environment itself, I'm like, man, I made it. Like I get to check off like, okay, you're in college, but I knew that, like, I think Kobe said, I was like, job's not finished. Just because I got here doesn't mean like I've done it. I'm like, okay, how are you going to finish? Right?
I like that. I think that's huge right there. Right there.
Oh yeah.
Because it's so easy to get comfortable when you accomplish something.
Yeah.
And feel like I'm done. Like this is it.
Yeah.
But like you said,
you want to know something? And this is a principle I've been teaching to anyone I can come in contact with. We never talk about the backside of blessings, ever. Like you talk about getting the blessing, but I'm like, once you get the blessing, like once you get the gym or once you get the scholarship, I'm like, you got to go to work.
Yep.
You know, you can't just get it and chill. And that happens. You see people like they get it and they're like, oh, I made it. And I'm like, no, you didn't. Like it's time to put in more work than what you did.
Because it's harder to maintain it.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, that was my mindset. I'm like, once I got there, I'm like, okay, how am I gonna start on the football team? How am I, you know, gonna meet as many people as I can? Like I'm thinking moves.
How long were you there?
For 4.5 years. I redshirted my first year. Yeah.
How was that?
That was a struggle. Because you're seeing like, you seeing guys playing. I'm like, man, I can outperform you, easy, you know. But at the same time, I don't know if I was mature enough to play. It's like maybe physically I could have played, but I don't know if like
mentally.
Yeah, because it goes more than just like, because I was definitely like a film rat, man. Like I'm watching film, even from playing in like what I told you was like the SEC of high school football. Like we were taught all this time management, everything, like accountability. Like I knew that part, and I was just like, why am I not playing? But I was, you know, there's things happen for a reason. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this year to develop physically, mentally. So it's like once we're ready to play, once this redshirt year is over, there's like no looking back. I'm starting all 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, so.
What was it like to, like the classes and juggle sport in college? Is it harder than high school? Is it similar?
That's a good question. I would say it's a little hard because you have more freedom.
Mm-hmm. So
like you're talking about you're in a like 200-300 person lecture, you know what I'm saying? But the only thing challenging with it is like, say you have practice at 5 a.m., you're going straight to class. It's funny, like you hear the schedules, you might hear like our older heads talking about how schedules used to be. I'm talking about we start from like 6 a.m., wouldn't be done till like 9 p.m. You know, I'm talking about we have classes, our workouts, classes, practice, and then sometimes you're even going back to classes or study halls. All the freshmen had to do study hall. By the time you get out of the athletic center, it's like 9 o'clock, and then just knowing you have to wake up and do it again. You know, and that part was hard because it's like we're doing all this, and I'm like, I can't play on Saturday. You know, like I have.
Yeah, that's gotta be rough. You're doing all the practice, but no game.
Yeah, but it's.
How do you maintain a good mindset during that?
Man,
that's gotta be rough.
Yeah, that part was hard, but it's like I want to be ready. Like I want to be ready for when it's my time. You know, I think that's what I had to like stop sulking and being pissed that you're not playing. I'm just like, all right, bet. But it's like I'm telling the starters.
How long did you do that for? Like the practicing with no games.
How long's a season? I forgot how long the season was during the time, but we're talking about weeks, months, right? Like if you make it to like late December or January, that means you were successful as a football team. And the thing, San Diego State wasn't successful our freshman year. But I remember all the freshmen, we all sat in a room and like, we're gonna change this, you know?
Yeah, you guys were committed.
Yeah, we're like, we have to change this. And ever since we started playing, I think that next year was the first time we won league in a while or something like that. And then we've been to bowl games ever since. Yeah.
Is there any players that you played with that are now in the NFL?
Oh man, there was multiple. List goes on. We always had good running backs. Ronnie Hillman, I know he played on the Broncos.
Yeah.
My boy Colin Lockett, he played on the Redskins for a while. man, list goes on and on. We had some dudes, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then tell us about this injury. What happened?
Man, freak accident. I think it was around this time, bro. I think it was this day.
Wait, like October?
It was October 4th.
Are you serious?
Dang, it's the 4th, right? Right? Yeah, it was this day. That's wild. Yeah, we played Nevada. It was this day. So I was in cover 2. Receiver gets like a little screen, and I'm coming downhill, and he's bigger dude, 6'3", like the 220, you know. And I hit him mainly with my left side. You know, what they call, I don't know if this happens in boxing, they call it a stinger, right? So I'm like, I hit him, and I'm like, okay, it doesn't feel right, like whatever. But adrenaline's high, end up finishing the game. But then the next day, I couldn't even like take my shirt off. I couldn't even lift, like normally you lift the next day, I couldn't even lift like 10 pounds. So I'm like, what the heck is going on? I'm like, the stinger's still here. Like it feels tight, all in like my trapped neck. And I'm like, something's not feeling right. You know, I think already at that time I had atrophy going on in my arm. And then for like 2 months, it was weird. Like I would know when it was almost like stroke symptoms. Like my whole left side would go numb. And I didn't tell any of the coaches of this.
What?
But I'm talking about like without doing anything, I would know, like my brain be like, okay, it's coming. And my whole body would just go numb. Or not whole body, the left side. Or even when I'm getting like my nervous system ready to go. Like I'm like, something's not feeling right. And I think we had a bye week the next week, and then we played, and I actually cleared the test. I don't know how the heck. I think it was just because I was strong enough to clear the test. Played Air Force, and then I was looking on film, I was running like this the whole time. I wasn't even cranking my arm. And then I told the doctors, and that's the part that hurt, is when the doctor's like, yeah, you're done for this season. And I'm just like, I'm a senior. I'm like, what? I'm like, NFL is the next step, doc. Like, is there waivers I have to sign? Like, is there something I can do? And that whole experience was, that was way heavier than any red shirt. So it's like, you're almost there. You know, like NFL scouts are possibly looking at this film, you know, and I'm just like, and I went into a very dark place. Cause like I said, I had doctors telling me. I met with, I think it was Peyton Manning's neurologist, because at the time, no one gave me an explanation. I think there was a guy from the Chargers that had something like it, but not to my degree.
Yeah.
So doctors really didn't give me a clear-cut answer. So I'm just like, I just went to a dark place. I went to a dark place because you know how it is with sports. It's next man up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What's this dark place? What were you doing?
So excuse me, Mom, for saying all this, but it was everything, bro. I was freaking drinking, drugs, woman. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And, you know, in no particular order. I just didn't want to be alone.
Yeah.
Like that was a big thing. And then I couldn't practice.
How long were you in that dark place for?
Years.
Oh, really?
Years. And yeah, it was years, because what we tend to do as athletes, we attach our identity to what we do.
Yeah.
And then at the time too, like I was like, I don't want to let anyone down, you know? And I'm like, well, this is out of my control. It feels like, and I was able to somewhat get my strength back, but nobody was going to clear, because nobody wants to be responsible if you on paralysis on another hit, you know? Yeah. So it was just months, years of insecurities built up. Like I didn't want to, be in a normal state. That's why, I was making my own lean. I had multiple women over a day. Like I'm drinking, doing it all, man.
When did this come to an end? Like what happened?
This, man.
Like this funk.
Honestly, it was a thing that traveled with me mentally for a while. And it's not till like after I met, like Jess helped me get out of it a lot. But there just came a point where I'm like, I didn't realize I carried this with me for so long, even with like, let's say starting G6 up, I was afraid to put myself out there again. The last time I put myself out there, the injury came, right? So it took me years to finally realize, like, you can do it. Mm-hmm. Like, you've been showing up. Like, you don't need validation from anybody. Like at the time, NFL was my validation. But now I'm like, okay, it's time to go. Like you can do it, put yourself out there and see what happens, So I think I made a post about this on Instagram. I'd have to go back and look. But I remember when I like shared my story and so much feedback came
Oh yeah.
and how many people like related to it. And I was like, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
No, when you share your story and you open up to people, it's a trip where people connect with you. Like now they're like, man, he knows how I'm feeling. He understands it.
Yeah.
And it definitely helps.
it was one of those things like after seeing the people, like after them understand, it was like I didn't go, and I think a lot of people need to realize this, like what you go through is sometimes not about you. Like I had to go through it to help the next person out. You know?
I like how you said that, man.
Like
You said what you go through sometimes is not about you.
Yeah, and I had to go through it for somebody else, right? And like I wouldn't change that, you know, because I think that shows strength in the individual you are. Because there's some people would have broke, you know, especially as male athletes. Man, we see male athletes commit suicide left and right, you know. And I was at that point. I was at that point where it was like, hey, I'm just gonna crash this car into the street and we're gonna see what happens, you know. But I kept showing up, and I kept showing up for my teammates. That was a big thing, because I'm like, I don't want them to see me broken. You know, even if I wasn't there mentally, I'm like, physically, I'm gonna keep showing up, be there. And that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing with G6, you know, with family.
Yeah, so tell us about G6, man. What you said it stands for Define Yourself.
Yeah, so
that's the motto. And give us where the name came from, where the motto came from.
So really nothing special about G6. That was just my college number. So I think there was like one of the younger safeties, like after some play, he called me G6, and it kind of just stuck with it. The motto, Define Yourself, that was like with my dad. I'll never forget, we do all these like late night workouts and stuff, like just doing extra. And he's like, I remember him, it was one of those like, you know how the movie moments, it was one of those moments that, look, I'm not trying to have you be me. I'm not trying to have you be anyone else. He's like, you need to define yourself, like create the best version of you. And he's like, I'm happy. And that's all I need to hear. I'm like, bet, like you took a weight off my shoulders, because I thought like you wanted me to be this version of you, or, you know, whatever this athlete is. And he's like, no, this gonna be you. And that's what this whole concept of G6 was, because I was, during that time after, I'm like, okay, I'm putting myself out there. I'm like, look, I'm not here to be the next gym or, you know, the next best athlete or next best trainer. I'm like, I'm here to just be me.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I tell all my clients, from old to young. I'm like, you don't need to seek validation from another flawed human being. Like, what is that gonna do? You know, like they have their insecurities and stuff like that too. So I just put yourself out there. Put yourself out there, and every day, like, I know we give these percentages, like 1%. I'm like, you know, try to come a little bit better.
Yep.
That's it.
What's your vision with G6? Like, tell us your vision, your goal. What is it?
Like, one thing I've always said, I'm not here, and this is no disrespect to I'm not here to be the best gym in Sacramento. Like, I've always looked at this like a bigger thing to where you can affect people worldwide, nationwide, in whatever they do, as far as even the training, the physical, the mental. I feel like the mental, you can't have one without the other. I always say, like, your phone means nothing if I took that SIM card out of it. You have a gray shell, but it means nothing now, you know? So that's kind of the way I put everything together.
That's a great one.
You know what I'm saying? Because I know mental health has been the big thing, but I'm like, how did it take you in the past 10 years to finally realize, like, athletes are humans? You know what I'm saying? And now athletes have the ability to actually say their story, which I think is dope. You know, they have the podcast, they got social media and stuff. You don't have a brand telling you, you know, what to say. Yeah. So I always feel that's love. But that's the goal, to compete or to be like the next Nike. You know, I've told people in my circle, I'm like, man, like somebody had to jump from the free throw line. It took one person to jump from the free throw line, and how many people have done it since? It's just, are you going to be willing to do it? You know what I'm saying? So that's where we're at.
So you want to do something bigger than just locally?
Oh yeah, I want to create a brand. Yeah, like that's the whole goal. Like, yes, training is a part of it, but it goes more than that. You can call it a lifestyle brand, however you want to describe it. But we're gonna be a brand. You know, like I want people to realize, like, once you put this on, like,
it's a dope ass logo, by the way.
Appreciate you. Like, it'll give you the ability.
I really like it.
Appreciate you. It'll give you the ability to be like, you know, I can do this.
Yeah.
You know, I think like Nike's is just do it, but I'm just like, you're already doing it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You're already doing it.
So who's all part of your team?
Oh, man. Yeah.
So who is it? Is it you and a few other people? Yeah, how big is your team?
So lately, and my guy just showed up. It's my videographer. Maurice Jordan.
Yeah, Teddy, aka Teddy.
Teddy Pendergrad over there.
Yeah, look at him, look at him, look at him.
Oh man,
So
that's my guy. That's my guy, man. Like, and we talked about it ever since. Like, I remember seeing on his like little biography or on the social media, it said storyteller. And I'm like, that's what I need. I don't need another highlight video. I need you telling stories. And ever since then, man, we've been clicking. I met a gentleman. I think the Kings had the Bay Area Symposium a few years back. I met a gentleman named Nicholas Pohl. So he's the director of sports performance. He's been like my right-hand man. He's taken this to, I always call him little Clark Kent. He's the numbers guy. But he's taken this to places that I never would imagine. But I feel like that's the beauty of a team. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you're able to see stuff that I wouldn't have seen. You know, same way with Mo. And lately we're trying to get intern trainers as well. So nothing's like solidified, but we have some people, around us to where like, man, you guys can make a difference.
What are your class times? Like, is it like Monday to Friday?
Yeah, so
Saturday?
We do have like normally I'm early mornings. I like to get my time back. So I'm starting as early as 5:30, 6 a.m. every day. And we have our set schedules, like we have some outdoor training sessions Tuesday, Thursday, like Monday, Wednesday, stuff like that. And we just added team sessions to where we're actually traveling outside of SAC. So we're going to Davis, Elk Grove, because that was one thing, like moving here, I'm like, why does everybody stay in their bubble? Like you only can grow so fast if you stay in your bubble. So I'm like, how are we going to reach out to multiple people? I've been using this whole like motto, like we're building without the building.
Yeah. How did you know you wanted to do this? Where did this come from? You get hurt, you this. How did this?
Like I didn't know. I didn't sit and have a 5-year plan. I'm just like, okay, out of pain created this purpose. Like it was one of those things. I'm like, okay, I'll train. Like that was the easy thing for me to do. I'm like, oh, I've worked out, I'm in shape, I can train. Then got into coaching, and then started to understand my voice as a coach. And, I'm like, oh, let's start this business.
Yeah.
I'm like, what'll be a cool name? I'm going to use G6, whatever. And then,
so it all just grew
like,
from that.
Things start growing organically. Like, I know we have these plans and all, but I'm like, what happens if you don't hit that 5-year or that 10-year? Like, like sometimes you just got to go. Just take it day by day and then look up and be like, oh, dang, look what I've done. Yeah, and that's kind of what we're doing now. I can sit and tell you kind of what I have in mind, but it might change.
So when did you establish G6?
2019.
2019?
Yeah, 2019 officially.
So you're 3 years in. Did you envision it being this way 3 years ago, or did you envision it different?
I would say I was very small-minded with it because I was envisioning like what I can do.
Yeah.
But then I started realizing, I'm like, I can only go so far by myself.
Alone. Yep, I agree.
And I'm getting burnt out, So I'm like, let me ask for help. And even when I asked for help, it probably might have been at a premature time, but I think it was the perfect time because I met Nick, and Nick led to, another person, and then we start collabing with coaches. Like, I'm huge on collaboration.
Yeah, I see that. The coalition you did?
Yeah, the Sacramento Athletic Coalition. That was like, shout out lead performance, Blair Orr.
Yeah.
That was something me and him were talking about. Because I'm like, coaches talk about it, but I'm like, no one's ever done it. And once again, I got inspired from when the Kings did the symposium. I'm like, man, because at first I didn't want to go up because I'm like, I'm not qualified. But then we got there and I'm like, man, everybody's ego is down, So I'm like, how do we do that on a smaller scale? So me and Blair were talking. I'm like, all right, let's just set it up. Like, forget it. Like, well, I'll give you a date. We're going to set it up. We're going to see who wants to, show up. And we actually had, a good turnout and everything.
It was a good turnout.
Yeah, it was a good turnout. And it's like, I'm like, guys, the way I look at it, if I gave you every client in your area, you would hate life. You would hate life. If I sat here, I'm like, hey, I'm Jose, I'm gonna give you every boxer here.
It's too much.
You'd be like, I can't maintain it.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, why don't we, collab with each other? Like, it's not even about us, it's about our clients. Put our egos to the side and if we're really about it, let's do it. Let's do this for these clients, you know? And if there's some way and you've done it with me, we've had business conversations and stuff, and shoot, I'm using some of your framework. And it's like, my job's I'm not here to reinvent the wheel. I'm just like, if I can make it a little more efficient and there's people already doing it, Let me see, let's do it.
Yeah.
So that, the coalition has been dope, man.
That's one thing you're very good at is reaching out, conversating with people.
Absolutely.
You do really good at that.
Yeah. I was inspired. I had one teacher, it's probably one thing I learned from college. He's like, I challenge you to meet somebody new every day. And I ran with it. I'm like, bet. And he's like, fellas, don't go meeting a new lady. He's like, actually sit
Some
down.
guys will get into that
Yeah.
one.
They'd be like, bet, okay. They'd be like, bet. No, but I took it for what it was. I was like, all right, let me just go sit down with, here's this football player. I'm sitting down with some random to have lunch with. And let's just spark a conversation. And that's literally what I do every day. Like, you know how it is. Like, our goal is to like connect with people.
Everybody.
Right? So I was like, after I done that, it was crazy how all that comes back around. Like, I remember one person I had lunch with, she ended up making, my website.
Yeah, whatever.
For free.
Whatever energy you put out to the world, you get the same energy back.
It comes back around.
It comes back. That's why it's good to be positive.
No, absolutely.
And be good people.
Yeah.
Because it comes right back around.
Yes, sir.
I agree with you 100%. So what is, I'm going to ask you some random questions now. I want to ask you some completely random questions. Out here, when you go out to eat, you can hang out, you can go anywhere. What's your spot out here?
Oh, man, hey. This is the one for here. Shout out Q1227.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, come on now. Like, food fire. And it's not even like...
It is. It's good.
It's not even the food. It's like the experience.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm like, here I am seeing, number one, someone that looked like me. Someone that looked like me here in Roseville, But it's the fact, like, I'm like, man, it's the first chef to actually come around and talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And then my second time, he remembered when I came, I was like, yo, the experience is crazy. On top of the food being, I thought was fire.
What's your plate there? What's your dish?
I think I had some steak. I'm a steak guy all day.
You like seafood?
Yeah.
But you prefer steak?
I'm a steak dude all the way.
How you like it cooked?
Yeah. What's up?
How you like it cooked?
I'm a medium.
Medium?
Yeah.
All right, so now next random question I'm gonna ask you. Tell me something about Gabe nobody knows.
Ooh. Dang, son. Dang. I'm about to think about this one.
You can't lose. He look like he wants to use a lifeline.
Right?
Call a friend.
Cause I feel like I be telling my business. That's a crazy thing. Like everybody know damn near everything about me. I like to draw.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually was an art major in college.
Do you still draw?
I do it because my daughter is interested in it now. But before, like, I think it's one of those things in college, I'm like, okay, I'm doing these drawings, and I just start giving them away, But
So are you a good drawer, or you just like to draw?
I think I'm a good drawer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like what kind of drawing? Like.
So I was always like a sketcher. Like I'd be like, I look at somebody and be like, I'll sketch it down. Then we got into like the different, like the gray, black tones. I was good at that. But yeah, and then like chalk, like doing stuff with that. But I just do it with my daughter now. Like that used to be my getaway, but now it's like a way for me and her to, have some, daddy-daughter time. Yeah. She's dope at drawing. She's way better, I feel like.
That's dope.
Yeah, she's one of those that just goes off memory. And I'm like,
you got a beautiful family, man.
I appreciate you.
Your kids are beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you can collaborate with anybody, who would you collaborate? Anybody in the whole wide world. You collaborate with one person, who would it be?
Damn, that's a good one. And like the field of what we do,
whatever,
or just anybody?
In whatever. You can collaborate with them in whatever you want. Who are you collaborating with?
Honestly, lately I've been watching Pivot podcast. Like Ryan Clark. This is something like everything, like they do it. They're doing. Yeah, you gotta check it out. They're doing what we're doing, but they're presenting. I don't know. They're presenting more than just sports. Like I'm big on storytelling, huge on storytelling. So everything they're doing, I'm like, man, they do a good job. Him and his team, they do a good job of like going deeper than what you're doing on the field or the court or whatever your specialty is. And I'm like, it's real authentic like conversations. Like you'll see one. I think me and Mo, like I don't know how many times I watched it with Michael Beasley, and I'm just like, bro, this was wild. Like that was heavy. I think it was heavy as a man to watch it. And I'm like, bro, he just wanted help. And they provided the platform to where it's like, man, you crying here in front of camera, but it was authentic. It wasn't scripted. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, I just so much respect, because I respected him as a football player. He played for the Steelers. But I just respected, I respect so much of their vision and everything they're doing.
So it'd be dope for you to collaborate with them?
Yeah. Man,
Where they out of?
Yeah. I think they're in Florida. Are they in Florida? Yeah, I want to say they're in Florida.
I'm not familiar with it. I need to look.
So what podcast? The I Am Athlete with Brandon Marshall. So they were all on that same podcast,
and
then they split up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened.
I need to check it out. I haven't heard it.
It's a solid one.
Cool.
It's a solid one.
All right, if you give anybody advice, one piece of advice, what would you give that person? Any advice, life advice, business advice, whatever advice you want to give, what advice would it be?
I know I've said keep showing up a lot, but I would say don't be afraid to put different eggs in multiple baskets. I think we've been in this whole mentality of like put all your eggs in one. If you have a plan, B, then you're not focused on your plan A. But I'm like, we were meant to do more than one thing. I don't care if you are the Michael Jordan. Like, just imagine if he stopped at basketball and didn't do any shoot. Like, I'm like, you can put multiple eggs in different baskets, and if one breaks, you have something to fall back on. Like, I think, like, the whole concept, like, define yourself is technically a paradox. Like, you're gonna be doing that till you die, But the fact that you're willing to, like, hey, try something new, even if you failed, you'd be like, okay, on to the next thing.
Who cares?
I think that's the part, like, people are afraid to be vulnerable.
Yep.
Especially my men out here. I'm like, be vulnerable. It'll be all right. Like, I know I'm trying to do a better job of it myself, but I'm like,
I give more credit to the person that's vulnerable and took a risk than the person that's always afraid to even take that risk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's more, I see it like boxing, and like, there's a guy that gets in the ring, gets his ass kicked.
Yeah.
But hey, at least he got in the ring.
Right.
I mean, there's people that ain't even brave enough to get in the ring.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, I think that's very symbolic. People are afraid of like with life to get in the ring. They super afraid.
Yeah,
because they're like they'll talk it out like, what if this happens? What if this happens? And I'm just like, it didn't even happen yet. So how you gonna tell me like fear? The whole fear concept is not even real. You created this whole narrative that didn't even happen yet. So
that is so common, man. Yeah. So common. I see so many people in the gym that are like crazy talented.
Yeah,
and then in their head is like, they look at all the negative things that could possibly happen, and in their head it's gonna happen. Yeah. And that's what's stopping them from doing it. Yeah. I was like, man, just do it. Yeah.
And that's why, man, that's why we do what we do. So if I can be the positive voice that you have in your day, besides you scrolling on Instagram, or it could be your family or even your friends, like I'm just, hey, I'll be that person. If I have to be that person, so be it, but you have to find it at the end of the day. Like, we can do it. We can talk all we want. It's just you have to tap into it,
For sure. So is there anything you want to add to the podcast? Anything you want to say before we end it? Anything you want to talk about?
I got to give you your flowers, bro.
Flowers,
I'm going to give you your flowers. I'm going to give you your credit, man. In the time we've got to know each other, because I know, and I talked about it earlier, like the business model that you have and even the culture that and this is my first time here in this space, but I've seen on social media, like the culture that you have, like it is a reflection of how you are. And even the time we met, man, like I said, some of my framework for my own business is built off, what you built.
Thank you
so
for that.
I hate how we have to wait till someone's in a casket to talk about it, but I'm like, man, I'm gonna let you know right now.
I love that you said that.
Yeah.
I actually think about that a lot. I'm like, I hate that we wait to someone to pass away at their funeral to say all the great things about them.
Yeah.
Like, we should acknowledge people and tell people this more often. No. Just good things about them, or whatever you would want to say, or how you feel about them.
Yeah.
That's good.
No.
I appreciate you saying that, man. It means a lot.
Absolutely.
I try my best to be the best. I don't know if it comes out that way or if it is, but I really do try. Like, I thrive on that. Yeah. You actually got the gym when it's dead. You got to get in here, because it's closed right now, but you got to get in here when it's cracking and people's in here.
I can only imagine, but
it'd be jumping.
Like, it's one of those things, like, bro, I'm on, like, it might be the first time I hop on Instagram and I see one of your videos, and I'm like, something like that can make or break someone's day. Yeah. But I'm like, okay, I have some positive, stuff, especially like your videos that shows up on my first few videos, and I'm like, all right, let's go.
It changes you. You know what's crazy? I'll share the story.
Yeah.
This was like 4 years ago. Yeah, like 4 years ago, maybe 3. I woke up, and we have these days. I woke up, man, I was just not feeling myself. I woke up depressed, and for no reason. I had nothing. There's no reason for me to be depressed. I was just in a depressed mood, right? And I drove up to the gym, got here, parked, and I was just feeling like shit. And this dude, it's like 4:30 in the morning, 5 in the morning, pulls up to me on the side and drives up. And then when he drives past me, he puts his car in reverse and comes back. Like I said, it's 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, who the fuck is this car pulling up? I'm like tripping. I'm thinking something's gonna go down. Like, who's this guy? Pulls back. When he gets to me, he rolls his window down. And then he's like, hey, you're Jose Morales. And I was like, yeah? He's like, oh man. He's like, every time I'm down, I come by your gym and I look at it. He's like, your gym inspires me. And that's what he said to me. He was like, man, your story, everything about you is just, it resonates with me a lot. And it makes me know that it's possible. And so every time I'm feeling down, I drive by your gym. And he's like, I'm blessed that I got to see you and meet you. And then he drove off. Dang. Bro, that right there just changed my mindset completely. Because I went from I was down and feeling like shit to, damn, this dude just, like, he just fucking said this to me. I had never, ever, ever had anyone say that to me. And it's a simple comment or see someone speaking up. And I think that's why, like you said earlier, we got to be more vulnerable. And this is exactly why I do this podcast. A lot of people are like, Jose, why do you do the podcast? I don't make no fucking money on this. If anything, I'll lose money on this. But I do this because this is how people can relate to different people, to relate to me, and it's a way to talk about real shit that people need to hear, that sometimes people don't understand that everyone's going through this shit. It's not just you. And I put it out there. That's why when I say things to people, I'm like, look, I'd say everything. It's just up to the people that want to listen to it. I share everything. And nah, man, that's dope. I'm glad that I can motivate you in that way and help in that way. I will always be here and help you. If I can, I will always will. And share any knowledge that I got, I will do so. I respect you a lot as a father, as a husband, and as a coach, and as a person. So you're solid. I wouldn't have you here if I didn't.
No, absolutely, man. I'm blessed to be here.
So yeah.
I've been asking for a minute.
And then the homie Teddy also brought it up last week, like I said. Why did you want to be a part of this podcast? What was something that for you drew you to be a part of it? I think
you called it out. Is like everybody that I've seen that's on here, like they're just real.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing fake. It's nothing like scripted out. Like, hey, we're gonna say this and that.
Yeah, it's
organic. You know, and I was like, I want to be part of that because I'm big in like brand alignment. Like if I knew that, you know, I'm like, man, I can't really rock with this. I would not have even asked to be on this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the fact that like our visions, what we want for people, it's the same.
Very.
You know, and that's like, that should be motivation enough. Like if me and you on this podcast, whoever's watching it, you can do it too.
Yep.
Like some simple, like I don't care if you take the framework of Jose or G6, copy it. I do not care. Like build a better version of it. You know what I'm saying? And just live your truth.
Yep.
In all honesty.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. All right, man. How can people stay connected with you? If people want to follow Gabe, check you out, how can we connect with you?
Absolutely. So you guys can connect with me on Instagram, Gabe Lemon. I can't forget that. G6 Athletes, you know, that's our company website. We have that on Twitter. We have YouTube, all that good stuff. So.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Which one are you the most active on? Are you
probably my Instagram.
Instagram?
Like, shoot, I'm like, hit me up. I'm like, I'll talk back to you. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, same. I don't really mess with any other one.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, cool, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, so thank you guys so much for listening. It's been actually a real special episode, man. I'm glad I had you on and you came, so thank you for making the drive out here.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for listening. If you liked or you know somebody that can benefit from this episode, please share it, leave a review. And I will be back next week with another fire episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. We out.